Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alona Taraka, and welcome back to WIJT Radio Show. Today, we are going to celebrate the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And why not? Go out and celebrate. Have a party at home or at work. But most of you should not be working today, all right? It's a free day that we have here in America. So go out, buy a cake from the grocery store or your local bakery, or bake a cake as a family and celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. He was a marvelous gentleman that was living ahead of his time with his philosophies of conflict resolution and maintaining peace within our society. If Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was alive today, I think he would be a little happier to see the major changes that have already happened in our society since his passing. But we still have a long way to go, folks. It is just so sad that in our living environment, we still see inequalities and negativity towards our fellow humans. Humans are naturally territorial, so conflict is a reality that must be made known, and a solution needs to be made happen as soon as possible. In his memory, let's devote some time here to his teachings and how you can utilize these in your own families and communities. First, let's have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. When we think about conflict resolution and nonviolence, we think about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. These are the cornerstones of his foundational teachings to ensure our society has the ability to resolve its differences on their own instead of always relying on the justice system for a solution. How can we do this? Well, I believe every community has the ability to provide a place where local residents can go to resolve their differences peacefully. Whether it be in a community center, or a library meeting room, or a place of worship, or meeting for a meal at a restaurant. Believe it or not, breaking bread together does help with conflict resolution. Or the person that you may be having a conflict with, you can, invite them maybe to go for a walk together somewhere, and getting exercise together is also a good idea. And for trying to resolve a conflict. And it is quite well known that much conflict does get resolved on a golf course, believe it or not. When we do resolve our differences, here is a list of conflict resolution etiquette rules that we should adopt into our family dynamics and community conflicts. Number 1, do not criticize or put down one another. Number 2, do not point fingers at each other. That's rude. Number 3, control your anger. Number 4, do not yell, scream, or shout, especially in front of children. Number 5, speak in a respectful tone of voice. A very calm voice. Number 6, do not curse or use negative language. So now I want to go on a tangent here and discuss nonviolent communication. And yes, there is a difference between nonviolent communication and violent communication. These are skills that we learn as we are growing up. For example, the choice of words that are used within our own speaking skills will determine the communication between us that creates the environment of how a conflict is either resolved or goes on for a long time without improvement. Number 7, respect and validate one another's feelings. That's very important. Number 8, when expressing feelings, always use I statements. When you use an I statement to express a feeling that you have with the other person, you are taking responsibility on yourself to resolve the conflict in a successful manner. For example, I feel uncomfortable when you raise your voice to me. Or I feel anger when you come home too late. You do not want to start any type of criticism. Well, hopefully it's constructive, but any type of criticism or sarcasm or negativity that you may want to express to this other person, please try not to make that happen. All right? Don't attack that person at the first few minutes of meeting them in order to try to resolve the conflict, whether they are a family member or not. All right? Because right away, that puts the other person on the defense. And you do not want to see that happen. All right? That's not a healthy way of trying to resolve a conflict. And you know that because you are an intelligent human being. All right? You know how to resolve a conflict successfully. So go ahead and do that. Use the best communication skills that you have inside of yourself to try to resolve a conflict within your family or within your community. Number 9, turn off all technology when trying to resolve a conflict. That means all telephones, all cell phones, all computers, televisions, radios, Kindles, whatever you may have, turn it all off. Put it all away. Because you need to focus and be disciplined on how to resolve a conflict. Number 10, do not drink alcohol or do drugs when trying to resolve a conflict. You want to be as clear-minded as possible. If you would like to set a date or a time during the day when you would like to start the beginning of resolving a conflict, well, then you make it happen that you are not drinking alcohol close to that time or in that time when you have decided of when to resolve a conflict. And getting high on marijuana is not going to help you think and focus on the priority of trying to resolve the conflict. And number 11, after the conflict has been resolved, give each other a hug or a handshake, because a physical touch at the end of a conflict resolution time is very important, because it increases intimacy within each other and it just creates more of a positive feeling in the environment. Now, following these rules will greatly assist in your conflict resolution efforts, whether it be at home or in your community. And let's say, for example, you have conflict resolution efforts that need to take place within yourself first. So you must try to use talk therapy if you are currently experiencing inner conflicts. And, some people might call them inner demons that you may have. Or you think somebody hates you, but they don't hate you. That is such a strong word. That is a violent communication word. All right? So if you're having a personal conflict that must be resolved, yes, talk therapy is very good. Also, do not come to the table of conflict resolution. Like I said, if you have too many inner conflicts that are going on inside of yourself, you want to be prepared for the next level of conflict resolution, which of course is in your family unit, your family dynamics. And then the next level up is in your community, and your community conflict resolution is then broken down into the first layer, which is your local community, your state community, or your county or district. All right, that would be the number 2 level. Number 3 then goes to the state level. Number 4, national level. And then number 5 is international level. And of course, what we have at the international level is our etiquette and protocol processes of diplomacy. So, personally, I do try to resolve conflict in my family. They call me the conflict resolution expert, and they say, come on, Alona, let's go. Let's try to resolve this conflict in our family. What are you going to do? How are you going to help us? All right, so that makes sense, right? Yes, it does. So another name that we can give for today is Conflict Resolution Day. So while you're eating the cake for today, you can discuss, a conflict calmly and with respect for each other. Remember the golden rule of do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And if you go through life with that philosophy every day, and you wake up and you say to yourself, what is God going to put on my path today? Well, then you're going to have a very successful life, and you're going to be happier because you are going to be creating more of a positive environment within your own little world and also in the world of your family and community. Now, as a teacher, I'm going to give you an assignment. Today, I think you should choose a conflict within yourself or your family or your community and start trying to resolve it. Start today. So by the time we reach the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday in January of 2025, hopefully you will have some conflicts that have been already resolved. Also, some other ideas that we may make happen in our community. We can start a peace corner in our elementary school classrooms. Also, a peace room in our middle and high schools, in our school districts around America. We are also trying to start talking circles using a talking stick somewhere in our community. And also, you may try using a talking circle within your family dynamics in order to resolve a conflict. Now, a talking circle purely is what it says. You're in a circle figure with, chairs around in a circle, seated hopefully on a round table, and you try to resolve your conflict at this space that you've created. Believe it or not, psychologically, it is better to resolve a conflict on a round-shaped table versus a square table. Because a round table it's calmer, you get a calmer feeling. And it treats everyone in an equal position. Whereas a square table has all this little rigidity that you feel psychologically. And it might create a little bit of more sensitivity or a little stress with that added, the sides of a table or the corners of a table, might hurt someone. So if it's better to have a round table where it creates more of a calmer environment in the solution time of resolving a conflict. Now, I'd like to give you an example of how we attempt to resolve conflicts in my family. What we have started to do is using the email system. My family is scattered all over the planet normally, so we come together through emails. When we have a conflict or when we have feelings that need to come out, whether negative or positive, we email everyone in our immediate family. This way, everyone is given the same information at the same time, and hopefully it reduces misunderstandings and miscommunication. And it is also a good place if you have a question. Do not be afraid to ask any question to any member of your family, because if you have that fear, you're not going to overcome the conflict that needs to be made happen within your family in order for it to become more successful. So that's what we do. We use the email system in my family, and we express our feelings in the body of the email, and we wait for thoughts and also feelings that were felt in other members of my family. And during this time of emails back and forth, I've also noticed that it increases our texting to each other and our phone calls. And it might even, move a member of our family to send a nice card or postcard to them to make them feel even more good. So that's what we do in my family in trying to create a solution to a conflict within our family dynamics. When we were all living together, we would have family meetings. And then after the family meeting of trying to resolve our conflict, we would get into like a little football huddle and have a group hug. That's how we would end our family meetings. And those were very special times in my family because it brought everybody together and we would have these calm, respectful meetings. And the way we ended our meeting, of course, we haven't had that type of meeting in such a long time. But we do have that memory, and it's a very good family memory that we do have. So I leave you with these foundational thinking adopted from the philosophies of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. today, and hopefully every day of your life. Thank you again for your interest, and have a great day. Celebrate.